Hi, welcome to the Frog Lab. Don't worry, we're not going to be taking frogs apart. In fact, quite the opposite. We're going to be putting them together and seeing how they hop and trying to see if we can make them hop better. First thing we need to do before we start is to build a frog. Follow these steps in order to build a frog that you can use in your experiment. Now that you're done building your frog, stop. Take a few minutes and just play around with it. While you're doing this, make sure you make careful observations. What's making your frog jump? Why does it jump so far? How can we make it jump farther? How can we make it jump higher? How can we make it jump straighter? These are all questions that might pop in your head. Now we've got to figure out how to make our frog better. But first, we've got to figure out, what does better mean? Does better mean that it jumps better? And if it does jump better, does it jump farther? Or does it jump higher? Or maybe better means that it jumps straighter. Any of these things will lead to making a better frog. You have to pick one of these and try to figure out if you can make your frog better. Let's just say, for this instance, we choose the distance the frog flies. So in order to make a better frog, we're going to have to improve how far it travels. This is called the dependent variable. Now that we've chosen our dependent variable, we can move on to step 3. What can we do to our frog to make it better? So what will we do to make it jump farther? There are many different things you can change on your frog. You can change the legs. You can change the nose shape. You can even change the type of paper it's made of. In fact, if you think about it, there are thousands of different things you can change on your frog in order to make it jump better. Which one will you choose? For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to change the nose. I'm going to just unfold the nose and make it a little longer. In this case, the longer nose becomes the independent variable. Let's stop here and take a second to review. In our experiment, the dependent variable, what we're going to measure, is going to be how far the frog goes. Our independent variable, what we're changing, is going to be the length or the size of the nose. Simple so far, right? There's one more thing we got to address. If the nose is our independent variable, we need to make sure that everything else, the paper, the legs, the body, we all keep the same. This is called controlling our variables. We do this so that we know only the nose affects the outcome of our experiment. Now we're ready for the next step, doing the actual experiment. When you do the experiment, be sure to try both frogs a few times and measure how far they go, and write down your data. Which brings us to the next step, organizing your data. The best way to organize your data is with a data table. In our case, the data table has columns and it has rows. In our case, the columns are going to identify the different trials. And the rows are going to identify the two conditions in our experiment. As you get your data, fill in the data table, as I am doing with my data. So what is that last column? This is where we average our results. The averages are going to be important, because in the next step, we will graph our data. And it is the averages that we will be graphing. Here is a rough example of a graph. All graph has an X and a Y axis. In one axis, put the dependent variable. In the other, put the independent variable. In our case, the dependent variable is the distance the frog went, and the independent variable is the different length of the nose. Finally, we have come to the last step, the conclusion. In this conclusion, all we have to do is make a claim and give evidence for the claim. For example, if this is our data, then our claim could be something like the longer nose travels further. Evidence for this claim would be data from our experiment. This concludes the Frog Lab. Goodbye.